there was a model that kind of worked, and you use that until that model no longer works, and then you sit there and realize what's broken, and it takes a long time before you can now create a new model that factors in that sometimes things don't work out how you thought they would.
Welcome to Book Therapy. I'm your host, Kim Patton. There's no way to count how many books are floating around in this world. Some are decent, some are truly terrible, and some are great. Today we're going to take a deep dive into one great book. Together we will discover gems of truth and encouragement to help you as a foster and adoptive family raise kids from hard places. You're ready, I'm ready, let's get this party started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Book Therapy. I have a special guest for you today that I can't wait to introduce you to, especially because this is part one. So when you finish this episode, there is more fun to come with this guest, and trust me, you will want to hear more. Before we get to that, I wanted to say that the Foster Mama Journal is here for you. For months, we've been working on a journal that incorporates all these things that I would want in a journal as a foster mom. So we made it. We made it for you. It is beautiful. It has gratitude pages, free writing pages, scripture prompts, journal prompts, and resources and more. I know you're going to love it. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on the website, kimpatton.com. And more details are also on our Instagram, Foster Mama Friend. Okay, on with the show. Let's dive into the book. Today we are talking about The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan with Dr. Benjamin Hardy. This book was recommended to me by my brother Joe, and I asked him, what's a book recently that you've really enjoyed or that you think that we can talk about together on the podcast? And he said The Gap and the Gain. And that was approximately a year ago, Joe. Was it that long ago that we started this conversation?
It's been a while. We let it simmer.
So what I'm saying is this book has seeped so deeply into our hearts and souls that this episode is going to be extra special.
Absolutely. That's what I'm hoping for. Time with Kim talking about a book. That's the highlight of my week.
Joe is my older brother. I have about 49 brothers, and he is just a couple years older than me. He's going to turn 40 in December, and I wanted to bring him on the podcast. He lives in Michigan, so I don't get to see him very often. He is a pastor. He is a husband. He is a adoptive, biological, and IVF dad. So Joe, officially welcome to the Book Therapy Podcast. We are glad you are here.
Thank you, Kim. I'm glad to be here. And Kim is my little sister, but she is doing grown-up things, and I'm very proud of her and excited to see and watch where this podcast is going. She's doing an amazing job.
Thank you. My focus now with this podcast is moving towards foster and adoptive families, and we both are adoptive parents. We both have struggled to get pregnant and gone through the infertility journey. I know you and Emily have gone through many heartbreaking days, weeks, months, years, many losses. You have babies with Jesus, and I have babies with Jesus too that never, made it to the earth. I'm sure they're up there somewhere. But what has this book been like as you reflect as a foster and adoptive dad? I know we're going to get into the definition and what the gap and the gain means. What has this book meant to you specifically in the last, year or two since you've been reading it and talking about it with those in your community?
Yeah, great question, Kim. I think what stuck out to me about this book is Dan Sullivan's come upon a mindset, and kind of what you're referring to and what what I believe is really important here is how do we interpret life? How do we interpret those difficult moments? How do we interpret pain? How do we interpret suffering? And Dan talks about, just to begin the book, the pursuit of happiness. And he talks about that phrase, the pursuit of happiness. We're pursuing it when in reality, shouldn't we have it? Shouldn't we notice it? Shouldn't we experience it? And so this book is kind of about a mentality of not looking forward, trying to find happiness in the future, but recognizing where it is right now. And so I think that's important when we're talking about pain, or you brought up adopting or infertility, or those difficult things we go through, is how do we interpret those things well, when mostly we just feel like they hurt, we feel lost, and we're not sure exactly where to turn or where to go next. And so I think what Dan uncovers is just a way to understand what happens when we look forward and aren't discovering our ideals, and then what happens when we look back or reflect on the past and see where we've come from. So that, I think, kind of can kick us off into where we're going today.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is measuring backward. And you mentioned looking into the future and the pursuit of happiness, because we all know what it feels like to have a goal that we're reaching for. And you and I are both athletic. We come from an athletic family, and there was always this mentality of
Thank you.
Is that a shock, really? Like, is that a surprise?
Sorry. I don't know when to talk or not to, but keep going. It sounded good. I'm athletic. That's what I heard. Athletic. Good thing this they can't
You're
watch
athletic,
the video.
you're good looking, you're smart. Do you want me to keep going?
I'll stop it. Yeah, keep going.
So we grew up in an athletic family, and I wouldn't say, I don't know, do you feel like winning was the focus? I mean, of course we all love to win, but wasn't it just like the fight and the victory and the, creaming each other as much as we could, whether it was in the backyard or for you on the wrestling mat? I mean, what was like, if we're learning to measure backward, what would be the opposite for you, like as we were growing up? I know for me, if I was running against you guys, I always felt like I fell short because you were always faster. We had that one day that we went to the high school track, and we were all together, and Mom wanted to time us in the mile. So we did 4 laps, and I think you took your shirt off and wrapped it around your head, if I remember correctly.
Sounds accurate. Yes. And he gets to this. I think what seems to be behind it is there's a constant need to prove yourselves. There's a constant need I need to excel. I need to perform. I need to be the best. And, when you're in a large family, you have lots of people to compare yourself to. And often when you win, like at Monopoly, you think you're the smartest person in the world that's going to take over the world, and when you lose, it's how do I get better? And so I think what we discovered early is competition in order to prove ourselves, because when we prove ourselves, then we have the identity that we want to have. In a sense, we can control it. But when we would lose, we would usually end in a fit of rage, typically. But then there's some recalibration, and you start again and you try to win again, so you can get your winning identity back. So I do think that happens in life, though. There's this need to constantly prove ourselves, because it helps us control our identity. And so when we come up upon things, as we began this conversation with, that are outside of our control, that we don't know what to do with, such as infertility. You are going through life and everything's good. You get married, and then you're on track to have kids, and then all of a sudden you realize that something is outside of your control. You begin to kind of the model that you've been living with is shattered, and you're stuck in a place you don't know how to get out of. And through that, you're not sure exactly what to do. So I do think, as you're talking about, our childhood, there was a model that kind of worked, and you use that until that model no longer works, and then you sit there and realize what's broken, and it takes a long time before you can now create a new model that factors in that sometimes things don't work out how you thought they would, and you have to accept that, and that's a really difficult place to be, but there's also great opportunity.
One of the big things in this book that they refer to is that comparison will steal your happiness, and comparison is really a no-win game. So when we are either comparing ourselves to others, comparing ourselves to ideals in our head, like you said, we have this ideal future or outcome, and then when reality sets in, you do feel shattered because you don't know how to get to where you want to go, and it seems impossible. This title is weird, right? The gap and the gain. What exactly is the gap, and what is the gain?
Hey, if you can understand that, you can understand the book, and then you have something great to take along with you everywhere you go. We typically live life forward. We talk about dreams a lot. We talk about goals a lot. Basically, we talk about the things that are in front of us. And when things are in front of us, it means we're not yet there. Say you're younger and you're thinking of graduating school and getting a job, graduating college, getting a job. So it's like, when I do that, then I will have arrived. That is where I will be happy. So that is the gap. The gap is the things that are in front of us that we tend to believe that when we get to that place, then we will have arrived, then we will have found joy, then we will have found happiness. And Dan talks about that gap. The way we interpret that is, because we are not yet there, we cannot yet be happy. And so what he is saying is, instead of looking at what's in front of you, that large gap, and interpreting that as happiness exists in that place, he says, instead, turn around and look at the gain. Look at where you were and where you are now. That's that gain. Seeing how you have grown over the years and taking those lessons. And he says, in doing that, that's where we can find happiness. Or more than that, that's where we can find gratitude, which leads to happiness. So he's saying, rather than measuring ourselves looking forward, when you measure yourself, look back. Look how far you have come. And I think that's a great, just two simple words of saying, am I looking forward and am I beaten down by this huge gap in front of me? Or am I looking backwards and becoming grateful for how far I've come?
Do you listen to Pentatonics? Have you ever heard of Pentatonics? Please tell me yes.
I think they're a music group. Is that a podcast?
You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me, Smalls. So they sing this song, and I think they wrote it. I might be wrong, but it's called The Lucky Ones. And the chorus is, look how far we've come. We were young and whatever, you can ask Kevin. I never know the real lyrics. But they talk about, look how far we've come. It was all so unexpected. And we were young. We are the lucky ones. as I read this book, that song just played over and over and over in my head. And Kevin actually got this, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a magnet that goes on the side of our fridge, and he ordered a lot of them, and it plays
Mm-hmm.
a song. So he chose that as one of the songs because I had been talking about it and playing it and just saying, like, if we are measuring ourselves backward, look how far we've come. And it blows my mind, the progress that we've made in our
Mm-hmm.
marriage, in myself personally, with our daughters, in relationships, in emotional, healthy relationships and mindsets. And it kind of sets me back, like, wow, I'm really proud of us. Look how far we've come. So I'm going to ask you a really personal question. Are you
Mm-hmm.
ready?
Okay, I think so.
Like if you were to look back 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, don't look back 20 or 30 years because I don't want to have a therapy session today because I already know I'm going to cry at some point. But what are your
Yeah.
gains and what are you proud of in your personal life and as a family?
All right. That is a great question, Kim. What you were just referring to about, well, here's the thing. You don't always know where the path's gonna lead. Um, I'm not a huge goal setter because I don't want to try to determine my own path. I just want to follow the one that's in front of me, because I think that's what's going to produce what is most real, and that is what I'm looking for, and that's what I desire. So in the sense of gains, I think when you take one step at a time, you find things you never thought you would find, and different things catch your interest. Kind of like if you're climbing a mountain, and it takes a long time, and you look at what is in front of you, and you just say, "I have way too much to go. I'm exhausted. I'm never going to be able to get to the top. It's just too steep." But you turn around and you see, wow, I've already come so far. Then after you look back to the top, it doesn't feel as far. So all that to say, the things I'm proud of, are the things I could have never seen coming. Um, my family, I have four kids. My oldest is adopted. We have twin 8-year olds, and we have a 2.5-year old crazy man living in our house. But I could have never seen all that. I desired it, but it seemed impossible. It didn't seem like it was going to happen. Um, but I continued going through it. My wife and I, we just kept walking, and we kept surrendering to God, and we kept moving forward, not feeling like we were owed anything, but following the desire that we desire for these blessings, but we can't manufacture them. We can't make them happen. And so I'm very proud of my family. Um, I've been at a church now for 16 years. If you knew me, you would think I was naturally kind of flighty, adventurous, probably can't sit still, and yet somehow, I've been in one place pretty much this whole time. That baffles me. I don't understand how that happened, but I now have roots in a place that are so deep that really is a complete blessing, because now my family gets to grow up in a community that loves and supports them, and a village that helps raise them. And so that is a humongous gain. Coaching has been a beautiful, beautiful thing for me, just being able to invest in kids over the years, both coaching and, in youth, spiritually, physically, in their mentality, and just watching those relationships and those skills just blossom over years have been incredibly rewarding. And there's times where you coach a kid that you're like, there's no way he has a future in this, and then years later, they're completely different people, and you didn't see that coming. So all those things are gains that in the moment they might feel like mountains that you don't want to climb, but looking back, they're all worthy investments. So yeah, that's a couple things, Kim. We could go on forever, but this says you only have 40 minutes, so I'm trying to narrow it down.
You brought tears to my eyes because I haven't been your next door neighbor for 16 years or 20 years. I left Michigan, and
Yeah, yeah.
while it wasn't hard at the
Mm-hmm.
time to leave Michigan, it has been hard over the years to be away from you and your family, and I haven't seen the nitty-gritty of what your life has been. But hearing you talk about your family and how far you've come and how it has been a surprise, I think it's cool that you have embraced the life that God has given you. And you've been faithful to the church. You've been faithful to the job. You've been faithful to your youth. When your youth group has gone through multiple tragedies, you have stayed. You have comforted at the same time as you were grieving. And, you've taken care of your wife as she's been grieving multiple losses, and you've taken care of your kids. You've dealt with just the complexities of adoption and IVF, and then now having a very full and bursting house. You and Emily have embraced this life of hospitality and generosity. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for listening to another episode of Book Therapy. For all the details about the author, the book, and what we talked about today, please see the show notes. As always, if you enjoy this podcast, please leave us an honest review on Spotify or Apple. This helps get the word out. And even better, if you know of a foster adoptive family and you think this episode will encourage them, go ahead and send them a text, because not only will it brighten their day, but it will give them another resource, another tool as they are doing the hard work of loving and serving vulnerable children. Thank you. We will see you next time.